and welcome to another episode of Greedy Keeps, brought to you by Moderately Anonymous MTG. As always, this episode is brought to you by TCG Player. Hit that TCG Player affiliate link in the description to pick up any of the cards that you see in today's video. It's a great way to help out the channel. And thank you to all of our patrons who make great content like this possible. Become a patron and enjoy Patreon-exclusive content, and give direct support to the channel, join our private Discord, and even get your deck featured on the show. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, it helps out a lot to click that like and subscribe button. It's one of the best ways to support the channel, and everyone is highly appreciated. Make sure you visit our merch store to get some official Modanon merch. We've got t-shirts, sweatshirts, crew necks, and more with original Modanon designs. And use our affiliate link with Ink Gaming to pick up an official Modanon playmat.
Yep, always meditating on the darkness. It's just my way.
You seem like it, yeah. Frown a lot. Anyway.
Yep. Here we go.
Okay.
We're doing it. We're doing an episode of Magic content now.
It's not starting yet.
Yep. We're doing it. This is it. We've begun. Here we are. Yep.
No, I refuse to believe that. Okay. All right. Centered. We're here. All right. We're going. Okay. Yeah. What do you do to get in the? No, don't answer that question.
Were you asking me? You said, "What are you do to?" And then you started voguing, and I'm like,
"You were voguing
I don't know
first.
what
I was copying you."
I was voguing first. That's true.
Okay.
No voguing.
All right, I'm really gonna do the intro.
Yeah. Here we go. Good luck. Godspeed. Serious face. Here we go.
Okay. Hi everyone, what's up? It's me, Dan, Moderately Anonymous MTG. I am here with my best friend in the universe. We have got Ken Baumann, everybody. What's up, Ken? How are you doing, my friend?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited for you to be here. We are here to talk today about some greedy keeps for Krark and Sakashima. Ken, do you want to please just introduce yourself and tell us about the deck here? Give us some of the main engines, win cons, things like that. What are we looking for in our openers?
Absolutely. So my name's Ken Baumann. I run the YouTube channel Stacked EDH. We make videos about Commander. Outside of that, I'm the publisher of cEDH.guide, an introductory resource for Commander players curious about the cEDH metagame and mindset. I run the Krark Discord called the Thumbless, and I maintain primers for Krark Sakashima, Krark Vasios, and Krark Tymna 3 cEDH Krark lists. And then outside the world of Magic, I'm a writer. You can find info about my books, including a fantasy novel I'm working on now at kenbaumann.com. And this deck today is Krark Sakashima, and the notorious, the infamous, maybe even, Krark Sakashima list. And this is the deck I've been piloting primarily for, ever since it came out. And it is a manual storm deck, and it can close out the game with a couple of combos like Underworld Breach, Brain Freeze, Lotus Petal, or LED, Dual Caster, Twin Flame. But really, most of the time, it just tries to use Krark's triggered ability, add more of those, and use those to cast storm spells and put them back in your hand after you've copied them. And so it can win with like Grape Shot, Lightning Bolt, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so it's got a little creature engine in the command zone and a bunch of supplementary pieces that are mostly creatures. And it's a fun Stormy deck where you take a lot of game actions.
If you're a fan of this channel, you've seen this deck a million times on the channel,
yeah.
I'm sure. So I'm excited to have you here and talking about it, Ken. Let's just hop right into it. Let's talk about this first hand that we got in front of us here. So I'll just read it out for everyone listening. We've got a Volcanic Island, Odawara, Soaring City, Mana Crypt Island, Flusterstorm, Underworld Breach, and Mog Salvage. So how does this look to you, Ken?
Okay, so as always, thinking about your pod composition is important and primary, but let's just assume we're in kind of an average cEDH pod. So there's another blue deck somewhere across the table. This deck lacks very conspicuously one thing: action. Right? It doesn't have card draw of any kind. But on average, this deck I think tends to win between turns 4 and 5. So you're going to have probably, right, in any given circumstance, probably going to have 4 or 5 live draws, and there are 20 pieces of draw on the deck. So the odds are pretty good that you might hit one in 4 or 5 live draws. So if you think that you can get away with kind of dirtling a little bit and playing control, I think this is a very good hand because you have turn 1 Krark with a Volk Island to turn on Mog Salvage, hopefully, depending on if somebody across the way plays an island, which they probably will. You've got a turn 2 island for Sakashima, and then you have turn 3 a third land drop, which is just lovely, or you could hold up the Odawara as a piece of interaction, and then you also have Flusterstorm, and you can burn that Mog Salvage early to take the other fastest deck at the table off their tempo. And so I think that, again, this is like a very control-y hand, but it doesn't really have anywhere to go. So depending on your risk appetite, I would say if you are worried about not having 4 or 5 turns, ship it. If you are comfortable playing control and waiting, if you think you're going to have a little bit more time in this pod, I would keep it, because 3 stable land drops and a mana crypt, if you're not super worried about an oof effect or a null rod effect, that is a super safe start. And turn 1 Krark, turn 2 Sakashima is real hard to beat for a value engine. So again, pod composition dependent. If we're saying greedy keeps, no, this isn't greedy enough. We can go greedier. We need to go deeper.
That I was going to note that it was interesting that you were noting like the risk assessment on how much you want to bet on the top card of your library rather than betting on the next 7. I'm interested to know, as we're looking this, how do you feel about a value Underworld Breach? Are you willing to just like cast a singular card off of it? I guess in this situation we don't have any fetch lands, so we're kind of like relying on putting that Mock Salvage in the graveyard to start us off. But how do you feel about a value breach? Are you holding on to it real tight, or are we just able to let it go for just steaming through?
I'd say 80% of the time I cast Underworld Breach in this deck, it's value. It's not combo. And I would say that 20% of the time I see Breach, I'm pitching it to a Chrome Mox or Gemstone Caverns, or discarding it to, like, I don't know, or binning it, you know, like it's not necessary, and Breach Winds are of the third plan. They're the tertiary plan in this deck. This isn't a 4-color deck, so like Breach Winds aren't super easy to like go for. It's a little convoluted here, you know, you gotta kind of build it up. And again, we're off fetches, so that's, you know, it's slower. So to me, Breach right now in this hand just reads as like blank piece of cardboard for now.
That's kind of how I felt too.
Yeah, and so you know, like it's there, and hopefully you know, if you draw the right piece of action, it'll get live. But right now, to me, it just looks like a red card that could be pitched to something.
All right, so it can keep, but since we're on greedy keeps, we're going to go to our second 7 and see what it looks like. This is my favorite part about hosting this show, is that there's no consequences for these mulligans. We just get to look every single time. So second 7 we've got here is Command Tower, Volcanic Island, Muddle the Mixture, Ledger Shredder, Force of Will, Gamble, and Stormkiln Artist. This is a pretty interesting hand. It seems like it maybe has like a line that it can go for, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts. How do you feel about this hand?
I like it okay. So you've got a couple different options. You can turn 1 Gamble for Crypt, and that sets you up very nicely for turn 2 Stormkiln Artist, turn 3 Krark, and go for it, hopefully with something, right? Some instant or sorcery that you draw. You could slow roll it and hold up a live Force of Will, right? Because when you just control 1 Krark trigger, Force of Will is kind of a liability. It feels pretty tough. And so I think that, you know, if you're willing to go Command Tower or Volk Island, or probably Command Tower is smarter because to play against opposing like Carpets of Flowers at all. If you go Command Tower, pass, draw Volk Island, Krark, pass, or Volk Island, Ledger Shredder, pass for some card selection. Then you can go maybe try to resolve Krark and then hold up interaction, or then fire off a gamble, double gamble with Krark. But I don't know. I mean, and there's also Muddle here, right? So you can Muddle for something useful, but you need 3 mana. So I think that this hand feels real good if you're able to find that Crypt off a gamble and not bin Ska or Stormkiln Artist. And it feels pretty mediocre if you're not doing that. So I probably wouldn't keep this hand in most circumstances, even though early, turn 2 Stormkiln can be pretty nuts. But everybody knows what Stormkiln does now, and so it's not like it really flies quote unquote under the radar anymore.
Especially since we don't have a free spell guaranteed to activate, like a Gitaxian Probe, Mock Salvage or something like that. Yeah,
exactly. And so you could protect it, right? You could protect it with Force Will, pitching, Shredder, or Muddle. But I don't. Again, this feels like kind of a medium hand in terms of greed. It's not greedy enough. I agree with you. Like, this isn't a good second 7. We're missing the acceleration. Like, if we had any bit of the acceleration that we had in our last hand, that would be, I think, a lot better. But let's go ahead and take a look at our 6 here. Yep.
So 6, we've got Mox Diamond, Island, Mountain, Springleaf Drum, Muddle the Mixture, Tavern Scoundrel, and Stormkiln Artist. How do we feel about this one?
I keep this 6. And here's why. Tavern Scoundrel is just an incredibly dumb ass magic card that just wins almost every game that it sticks. And so if you can, and this is a turn 1 Krark, or if you want to be real cautious, which I don't know why it would be, but you could just play a mountain, play a Springleaf Drum, pass. And then you could play the island, and hopefully you draw a land, so you can also have the mana up for Mox Diamond. Then you have 4 mana, and you can do Tavern Scoundrel and hold up Muddle. But I think that probably looking at this hand and going, okay, I keep 6, I would keep Mountain, Island, Mox Diamond, Tavern Scoundrel, Springleaf Drum, and Muddle, and I would bottom Ska.
Bottom the Ska, interesting.
Yeah, Tavern, because it's got more of a startup cost. Scoundrel is so much lower to the ground. Scoundrel is also an excellent blocker.
That's a good point.
For like Hymnas.
Yeah, Stormcloak Artist not quite ready to go off in this game. I Muddle the Mixture is also we're a bit away from transferring it into an action spell, but it is at least access to an action spell, and Stormcloak Artist can come, whenever it comes, and it'll be just as great. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah, so just off the strength of a turn 1 Krark and a turn 2 Tavern Scoundrel, I would probably be tempted to keep it just because
it's a pretty slam dunk 6 in my opinion.
Yeah. My tracking on Scoundrel is just it is absolutely ludicrous. It really pulls its weight.
As someone who does not track their games with Krark and Sakashima, Tavern Scoundrel also wins every single game that I've ever casted in.
Yeah. It's just it's oh, it resolves. Nobody can do anything about this common. Well, all right, cool. Let's start the train.
We're past the point of this deck being a meme and people not really understanding what it does, but Tavern Scoundrel I think has a little bit of that mystique left where people are still a little bit it really falls under the radar more than it should.
Yeah, it's just a little common. It could never hurt anybody. It's just a little common.
The art's not even cool.
Common. I know the art's so boring. It's this is great, But yes, I don't know. I mean, I won tier 1 con off the back of that damn card. It's nuts. It's nuts.
Yeah,
it's a very silly card.
Yeah, no, and this is a good 6. So yeah, we're keeping this one. Let's take a look at a fresh 7 here.
Okay.
Fresh 7, we've got Otawara, Mox Diamond,
yeah.
Gemstone Caverns, Gitaxian Probe, Fierce Guardianship, a Brightstone Ritual, and a Finale of Promise. So, assuming that we're not in for a 75% chance in this Gemstone Caverns is live, you I think, have already shown your cards.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So this is it was lizard pattern recognition. I immediately saw this and was like, yes. So this is a turn 1 Krark with Git Probe up with protection and a ritual. You have a draw, you have access to mana, you have a turn 1 Krark. You just put Finale. Oh yeah, and if this is a 7, even better. Yeah. You can Brightstone. If you turn 1 Krark, draw a couple cards, hit a 3rd land drop, you can Finale at X = 1 to get back either whatever copied, Gitaxian Probe or Brightstone Ritual, right? So you get another shot at it. You can bounce it back to hand. And so yes, this is if you're not going first, I'd say absolutely keep turn 1 Krark with Git Probe, backup, and a ritual. That's all you need to know, right? You've got and even if you're not waiting to spam Git Probe with multiple Krark triggers, I think that's still okay because reveal 2 players' hands, draw 2 cards after you've just done a Gemstone turn by exiling Finale, we exile Finale here. That's easy. That fills you back up, and then again you've got Fierce and a Krark trigger on turn 1. That's excellent. That's
what I was going to ask is what are Gemstones exile here, but you say easy Finale of Promise exile in that scenario.
Yeah. I think you could also I think pretty safely just exile the Mox Diamond and just
that makes sense.
Just bank on staying at 2 lands for a little while, and then maybe hitting something that Brightstone can spin into off the Git Probe. So yeah, I would either exile the Finale or I would exile the Mox Diamond, depending on sort of what I was thinking in terms of acceleration.
I could see going for the Mox Diamond unless you were maybe in a stacks matchup where you really felt like that Otawara was going to be an important thing, even though this is a very aggressive hand, so you can you can stick a lot of things really quickly. Let me ask you this question though. Say we are in first and this Gemstone Caverns is not live. Is that almost better?
It might be a little better because then you just Mox Diamond Otawara, pitch the Gemstone to Mox Diamond, and then
because then we don't have to give up an action spell.
Yeah, exactly. You can just hold on to Finale then, and then Finale gets your gas back and gets Probe back if you need to. Yeah, I just think a turn 1 Krark with protection up and probe is like... there aren't going to be many circumstances in which that isn't a relevant hand. You know what I mean?
This is sincerely, yeah, just like, all stars of the deck, just
Yes.
it is the cornerstones of like all of our non-mana slots are like what you need to have in your opener to like make sure the game goes well. Just like free spells, free counters, mana production, and then some sort of more grandiose action spell. Like the fact that we just have every single one of them is truly the perfect 7. All right, well, yeah. easy keeps, easy greedy keeps. First 7. Let's look at the next one. Next 7 here is Mountain, Lion's Eye Diamond, Mountain, Ledger Shredder, Mind's Desire, Twin Flame, and Veyron, Voice of Duality. This one seems pretty not great to me. What do you think?
Yes, big no thank you. You do not have a blue source that doesn't require discarding your hand, so we just put that one back and pretend it never happened.
So, yeah, there's like... If there was one more piece of mana in this hand, if... say Mind's Desire was a Lotus Petal or something like that, and you could turn to Krark and Sakashima, sacrificing your hand to the Lion's Eye Diamond, is that ever a play that you're going to try to make?
No. And here's why, right? People, and I don't actually love seeing this. It always pains me a little bit because I don't think it's a really super optimal play or whatever, but people will crack an LED to cast a Crom or something, and I'm like, are you crazy? Like, this is like, yes, it can work. It can work. But Crom is not a card that generally wins games. It's a card that contributes to a game in which you win. Right? Like, I don't think that. And here's the big caveat. I think that is still even smarter to like crack an LED for a Crom than to crack an LED for Krark Sakashima, because you are not dead to card advantage when you control Crom for a couple turn cycles, unless you've been stacked out. But if you're just top decking, and this is not a deck that really wants to be top decking. I think it top decks like okay because of the density of draw, but I don't think it's strong enough to crack an LED. Here you can crack an LED, and generally when I do now is like in response to a 3-mana spell like Jessica's Will or Frantic Search or something before the flips. So you're like, okay, whatever. Hey, I want one more shot at this, and it seems like the opponents are F6, so I'll just crack this LED in response to the Krark trigger on a Frantic Search or whatever, just so I can make sure to cast it again if it bounces. Or whatever. And it's fantastic off Jessica's Will, because it's just like, okay, I don't need my hand anymore. We're just Jessica's Will, and I need 3 blue right now. There's my 3 blue. So yeah, I think that yeah, probably even in that circumstance, I would not keep this hand. LED is not that strong in this deck. It's mostly expedient. It's mostly there because it makes some lines a little bit slimmer and a little bit faster.
Yeah, we lose out on like being able to demonic tutor and hold priority and crack LED or something to that effect. But I really like the Jessica's Will line. That's a very aggressive line that I would definitely make that play. I foresee myself doing that.
Yeah, just be like, okay, I have 1 Krark trigger and I'm tapped out to put this Jessica's Will in the stack, but who cares? Like, if I get 2 Jessica's Wills, I probably win, so we'll just crack the LED and just
because actually to speak to what you were saying about Crom, is that's a play that I've made many times, to crack the LED for a Crom on turn 1, and it's like the situations in which I'm doing that, I'm giving up. I can remember the last time it was like a Rite of Flame and a Scrubland, and it's like Rite of Flame and Scrubland aren't going to win me the game. I might as well not have them in my hand. And in that sort of scenario, I can totally see the scenario of like putting my Jessica's Will on the stack, and this is my only Krark, and I've got just like a Mountain and a Rite of Flame or something in hand, maybe something less potent than a Rite of Flame, but Okay, so no go on this. This was our second 7, I believe, so let's take a look at a 6.
Okay.
6 here, we've got Lotus Petal. We've got the backside of Bergie. I noticed when I was looking at the deck list earlier, it wasn't loading Bergie's front face for some reason. So yeah, we've got Lotus, we've got Bergie, God of Storytelling, Mind's Desire, Brightstone Ritual, Overmaster, Deflecting Swat, and a Treasonous Ogre. So we've got a single red mana for this beautiful hand.
I know, it really is very pretty. If here I have learned.
Imagine if you had a Mana Crypt in this hand.
I know. Or just add land. Like, add land would be kind of nice. Yes, I've learned that keeping 1-landers in all but the most extraordinary of circumstances in this deck is a foolish decision. And
Yeah,
so
makes a lot of sense to me.
You know, so I did, like, yeah, it had, God, it's so nice to have Treasonous Ogre with Overmaster and a red ritual and Horn. So it's like, cool, I have all the action and it happens to all be red. Great. But, yeah, we just don't have a stable mana base, you know. And again, this deck is shooting for either, usually on average, a turn 4 or a turn 5 win. And so, you know, you need stable mana.
Yeah, making land drops over your 4 or 5 turns is incredibly important to be able to cast your many spells. So, all right, let's take a look at our 5 here. For 5, we've got an Island, City of Brass, Island, Brainstorm, Phantasmal Image, Spellseeker, and a Mindbreak Trap. This is like, not great, but not bad. What do you think?
Yeah, it's not great, but it is stable. So you have, you've got the 3 lands, which is good. Even at 5, I would, to be honest, very seriously consider keeping 3 lands.
Really? Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, I've been more and more, I've been keeping hands that have stable mana just because now I know with such a certainty that 4 and 5 is the average. So I'm, you're right, it's just a numbers game. I'm just like playing to the averages, and it has really rewarded me. It seems like it is generally a correct decision to just keep stability in mana production over like, oh, you know, like, hey, I'll keep the 2 and I'll get a Krark, but then what? Maybe like I might get stopped in my development if I get unlucky a couple times with flips.
Yeah, having no fetches in the deck at this point, or maybe just a singular fetch, and like getting Brainstorm locked in this scenario where we only have 2 lands is like pretty terrifying.
Pretty painful. Yep. So I think that probably I would keep land, Spellseeker, Mindbreak Trap.
Interesting. Not going to go for the Brainstorm, just going for the natural top decks in this scenario.
Yep, just going for turn 2 Krark, turn 2 Spellseeker for Get Probe, hold up interaction, and pray. And I think that, you know, if you're at 5, that's probably just what fate has intended for you this game.
What's the lowest you feel like is going to 4 like real hard in this deck? How low do you feel like going?
I'll go as low as anybody wants me to go. I don't love mulliganing below 5, to be honest. Like, I think that, you know, right, if you're in Grixis plus, or if you're in Black plus, you can mulligan so aggressively because Black tutors, unconditional tutors are so strong.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool, I mulligan to 2, and I have an Imp Seal in a land. I Imp Seal for fish, and congratulations, I'm back in the game. You know, like, but this deck is not that. And so I think that, again, I really have been emphasizing for myself, just go for stable. Go for stable because, again, turn 4 or 5. Like, that's the target. Seek stability. If you are really, really confident that you're going to see Dockside Extortionist, then I would keep 3 lands, Brainstorm, Phantasmal Image. Or I would keep 3 lands, Phantasmal Image, Spellseeker. But one of the 2. So those are the, like, right, Phantasmal Image is the ritual in that case.
Yeah.
And Brainstorm or Brainstorm or Spellseeker are the draw. And I would just get rid of the Mindbreak and say, hey, I'm not going to play Cop at Mold 5, and I'm going to tell the table that. Like, sorry, I'm on 5, I got nothing. Good luck.
I think that would be my instinct as well, to just, like, have Mindbreak Trap not be one of the choices, because, yeah, like, essentially going to 4 to stop someone's win attempt, just let them have it. I don't...
It's not worth it. It's not worth
it.
I've stopped caring. Yes, yeah, exactly.
All right, so we've got a Ken keep here. Let's go for a Dan keep. Let's go to 4 here. Let's see what a 4
looks
like.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So we've got Mountain, Mana Vault, Swan Song, Archmage Emeritus, Red Elemental Blast, and Deflecting Swat. This is so close to actually a pretty sweet 4.
Yeah, you need better lands.
Yeah, we do need better lands with that, but honestly, pretty close. All right, well, we kept with the 5 there officially. Luckily, this isn't my own episode of Greedy Keep, so let's look at a fresh 7 here. All right, fresh 7, we've got Mountain, Command Tower, Burgi, Flusterstorm, Brainstorm, Stern Dismissal, and Rhystic Study. How do you feel about this one? We've got no acceleration, but we've got some pretty good spells.
Rhystic Study is incredible. Surprise. And so... and again, like in my little tracking or whatever, Study wins games. And so I would say that if you're in a pod in which you're pretty confident people will play on average like they do around a study, which is mildly irresponsibly rather than mildly responsibly, I think it generally trends towards the irresponsible on average, then I would keep and just hope to draw land. And also, play a command tower, hold up interaction. It's not ideal interaction, but it's good for us. Stern Dismissal is really powerful for our plans. And Flusterstorm, which is excellent. Hold that up and then just try for the instep Brainstorm, and then hopefully you sculpt into a hand that lets you Krark and then Ristic with some draws that aren't terrible. Is good. Or you could just go Krark and then hope to cast Bergie and try to go a turbo route if you find something more revealing off the Brainstorm. But on the back of 2 lands, so again, a stable Krark, interaction that's easily available, bounce for stacks, a source of draw, and study, which is a powerhouse. One of the best cards in the deck. I would keep.
That's really interesting to me. I would feel so nervous about keeping this hand and like playing these spells on curve. Like possibly playing the turn 3 Ristic Study seems so antithetical to the way that I teach about to the way that I think about cEDH.
Yeah, it seems slow, right? But like, in the games that I generally win on this deck, for whatever reason, it's usually not the hands that you expect out of a turbo deck, right? Where it's just like mana, or like land fish with force backup or whatever. It's usually not those hands. It's usually the hands where it's like you just curve out. And here's why. The creature engines in this deck, I think, in my opinion, not, whatever, which is just narrow, but
this is not a scientific assessment. Everyone put your pens down.
Put your pens down. Stop. Get your professor off speed dial. Hang up the phone. Stop calling your mom. In my opinion,
calling the president.
Yeah, exactly. In my opinion, I think curving out in this deck is going to be a more effective strategy. It's going to be the most effective strategy to win a game playing a Storm deck in cEDH, is if you curve out here. Because this is not Nas, this is not Korvold, this is not Winota, where it's like, oh, all I need is fast mana and like a bad card in Winota, and then I like start winning the game. This is, I need to hit Krark, I need to hit some source of draw, and then on turn 4 or 5, I win. That's right. That's the pattern. And so you don't even need Sakashima. It's just like Krark, a source of draw, and a stable mana base, and usually that's enough to get you into a win. So I don't know. I would think that I would keep this and hope to draw land, and I would feel confident, because again, holding up a turn 1 Fluster or even a turn 2 Fluster, if you want to be real slow and steady and just be like, well, no Krark, I'm just going to play a little bit of control and brainstorm and just see what I can get. I think it gives you a couple of nice options. But again, it's not greedy. It's not super greedy. So in the name of greedy keeps, I would go for something greedier. Not in real life, but here.
Okay, we will go to our second 7. We'll take, because we can't keep our first 7 every time. That's definitely not good for the show.
Very, very boring. Yes, I know. But also keep in mind, right, folks, right, watchers, I am admittedly not good at mulligans. I am not good at mulligans. I find something to like in most hands, and I really do prioritize stability over like explosiveness.
Well, I think to speak to your point and like all the things that you just said, I think it makes a lot of sense, all the things that you just said, because we do have the things that we need in this hand, which is important because, like you said, we're not a Grixis deck. We don't have unconditional tutors. We don't have Ad Nauseam to fill up our hand. We don't have Wheel of Fortune to fill up our hand. Like, what this deck needs to win is a lot of things. Like, it needs the 4 pillars of good Krark spells, and it needs probably like maybe 2 of one of those kinds of things. So like we need like a certain amount of space to breathe and things like that, and just keeping our options open literally with the amount of cards that we have in hand seems like, a smart and, like you said, stable play. So I admire that. But it is greedy keep, so let's take a look at our second 7. I hope that everything we say gets disproven by the most gas second 7 of all time. It's not.
No, it's not the most.
It's not bad.
Second 7 of all time.
Second 7.
Okay.
Second 7 here is
right.
Volcanic Island, Shivan Reef, Brainstorm, Spellseeker, Pyroblast, Twin Flame, and Treasonous Ogre. It is not quite as hot as the last hand, but honestly, it's still pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, you have a guaranteed Krark. You have Twin Flame and Treasonous Ogre, which can be a hell of a combination. And a lot of times Spellseeker just finds Twin Flame, so this hand has done that work for you. And you've got it. So yeah, you have a source of draw. You have two sources of draw. You got a combo piece. You've got a ritual, a big ritual, and you've got Pyroblast, which is castable with your Treasonous Ogre if it resolves. And so, turn 1 Brainstorm, turn 2 Krark, hopefully turn 3 Spellseeker for something fun, and then turn 4, ideally Treasonous Ogre, and then go for it. But again, lack of acceleration. Two lands is often, again, can often feel like enough. And again, you've got that Brainstorm, so hopefully you find a third, and then you'll probably be okay.
We do have the Shuffler with the Spellseeker, so we've at least got that going for us.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. If you get Brainstorm locked, but you find a land, you're like, oh, next 2 draws are bad, or whatever. Just Spellseeker away and hit that Shuffle. Just fail to find. Cast Spellseeker, ETB it, look at your opponent's dead in the eye, and just say fail to find.
That's the advice that you would give people if they were trying to learn how to play this deck?
No. But if you really want to tilt your opponents and make them think that you are the wildest person on the planet, that could be a way to do it.
Solid advice. So no, seems like a medium.
This is medium. So if greed is the criterion, then we got to go deeper. All
right, we're going deeper. Let's go to 6. 6 is Mountain. Solve the equation, Frantic Search, Rite of Flame, Twin Flame, Deflecting Swat, and Imperial Recruiter. This is a greedy keep.
Yeah, this is a greedy keep. This is a turn 1 Krark with nothing to do. I mean, you've got SWAT.
It's pretty bad.
You've got SWAT. If you draw a land, then you can hold the Rite of Flame. Turn 2 Krark. Turn 3 go for Rite of Flame. Copied, hit Imp Recruiter, cast Dockside, go off to the races because you'd have enough mana.
Sure.
So if you're like, all right, well, that's I'll draw a land. I got 2 live draws before I lost the game from my poor decision, then keep it. But if you don't feel that confident, then ship it and go to 5.
All right, let's ship it and go to 5. 5er is Island, Mountain, Berkey, Mystical Tutor, Mindbreak Trap, Gamble, and Deflecting Swat. This seems kind of close.
I keep this. Yeah. At 5, I keep it. I keep the 2 lands, Mystical Tutor, Swat, and Berkey. And I don't think at 5 I keep Gamble. I think that's just like it's not
too much of a gamble.
The odds are no thanks. But you have a turn 1 Mystical Tutor for J Will. Turn 2 you play a Mountain, and then you also get your draw, right? So hopefully you draw a 3rd land. If you draw a 3rd land, you're good. This is
all right. Since we decided to keep, let's take a peek. What do we got for our next draw? So we got Mountain right on top.
Boom.
Never didn't have it.
Yep. So Island turn 1, EOT Mystical Tutor. Find Jessica's Will. Turn 2, Krark. Turn 3, Mountain. Cast Jessica's Will. Hold up SWAT. And then you have Berkey. So J Will is going to resolve for 5+. If you copy it, you got 10 red mana. And you have probably 2 cards in hand. At least 2 cards in hand. So you could backside a Horn if you find nothing. And then you have 4 more draws. But you probably don't find nothing off J Will. That's pretty rare. So I actually like this hand a lot at 5. It feels very stable.
Yeah, honestly, it's obviously not as good as our 7, but like if we didn't have that hot for 7 and we were going to 5, this seems like a pretty solid 5. I'm very interested in that, what you were going for with the Mystical Tutor, but Jessica's Will makes a lot of sense there, and I like that game plan, so that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, cool.
All right, let's take a look at another one. Fresh 7 is Mountain, City of Brass, Mountain, Snap, Pyroblast, Red Elemental Blast. Wow, a very repetitive one.
Yeah, do you like interaction and nothing else? Well, this hand is for you.
Do you like Goto's greatest hits?
Yeah, right? This isn't... Yeah, no, I mean, like, yeah, cool. I like 4 land drops. And here's the thing, too. I mean, I don't know. It's a devil's advocate, this hand a little bit.
Oh, please don't talk about how much you like 4 lands.
I do like 4 lands. I know it's cursed. I know it's so cursed to say it, but... Here's why. It's not I like 4 lands because I like 4 lands. I like 4 lands because you got 4 lands out of your deck. You got 24 of those bad boys left, and you've got 4 to 5 live draws on average. You're drawing gas. You're
just run fewer lands and you won't even run into this problem in the first place.
That is true. If you just run 3 lands, that's all the deck needs.
That's what I'm saying.
Total. Yep.
London Mulligan's good. That's what this series is about.
But no, this is a ship. I mean, yeah. Like,
all right,
it's a meme
ship.
that you shipped it.
All right, let's go to our second 7 here is Volcanic Island, Mountain Island, Pact of Negation, Mystic Remora, Frantic Search, and Step Through. Pretty stable mana. We've got a Mystic Remora, we've got a Frantic Search. It seems pretty solid.
This is excellent. So you can fit so easily, and yeah, you can't misstep back up the fish or whatever, but that's okay. You can
pack back up. You got it.
Yeah, that's right. Just throw it out there.
Make them have
throw it out there. Yep, exactly. And then they'll panic, and then they'll force it. They'll force the pack, though, not the fish. Will. And then you'll be safe.
I'm good at Magic.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is stable. You have fish, keep fish around and bluff permission, or keep fish around and or let fish go and then Krark with a nice hand. Step Through's incredible. Step Through finds you anything you need. Most of the time it finds Harmonic Prodigy. Sometimes it finds Dual Caster. Sometimes it finds Spellseeker. But it can find anything. If you need more Krark triggers, boom, easy. 1 in red. You can find Harmonic Prodigy. If you need draw, you find Spellseeker. If you need interaction or combo, you find Dual Caster. If you need recursion, you find Gale. Right? It like it's just amazing. And nobody it is an unconditional I mean, not unconditional for us, but it is a almost unconditional for this deck tutor that is not ever going to be countered.
Yeah, we've got like Phantasmal Image as our only non-wizard.
Yep. Yeah, like
and
Bergie and T-Ogre. There are a few. There are a couple.
Oh, Bergie's a god, right?
Bergie's a god. Stormkiln is a dwarf shaman. Scoundrel's a rogue. But
okay, so a couple.
But yeah, but you have almost like
we've got access to like all of the pillars of things that we might need out of this spell, though.
Yep, and then you also have a turn 3. So even if you don't Step Through for Harmonic Prodigy for a second Krark trigger, you have a turn 3 Frantic with Packed back up. So if you're just like, I'm just jamming it, you know what I mean? Like I drew a few cards off Mystic. I've got maybe a couple other pieces or like a Mana Rock or something. Turn 3 Krark, Frantic, Packed back up, go for it. You know, single Krark, why not? Or if you would rather play it real safe and sound, keep the fish around for a while. Just let people feed it. Again, if people are on average mildly irresponsible, that fish is going to get fed, and you can, because you are a turn 4 or 5 deck, so you can sacrifice the first couple of turns, no problem. You have a 2 mana value commander. You can take the first 2 turns off to just keep a fish around and not suffer that much because, again, you're not probably going for it on turn 2, 3. You're going for it on 4, 5. So I like it.
We got to commit things to the board in order to win, like our advantage pieces. But just accumulating more cards, we've got a pretty high percentage of ritual effects in the deck anyway to piece those things together. It's not that we have to commit a whole lot to the board early game to really get us there in the late game. So nice, I like it. Let's take a look at one last hand.
Okay.
We got a fresh one here. It is Cascade Bluffs, Spring Leaf Drum, Ledger Shredder, Mindbreak Trap, Pyroblast, Jessica's Will, and Stormkiln Artist. Lots of good cards, but not quite there.
Nope. Ship.
Easy ship. Second 7 is Lion's Eye Diamond, Lotus Petal, Chrome Mox, Training Center, Stern Dismissal, Rite of Flame, and Pyroblast. All of the mana in the world. How do you feel about this one?
Trap.
It's
a trap. Yes, that's Star Wars meme.
Yeah.
You got mana. You got nothing to do with it. So ship. Go to 6.
All right, 6 is Shivan Reef, City of Brass, Volcanic Island, Ledger Shredder, Step Through, and Treasonous Ogre.
I'm a genetic freak and I'm not normal, so I keep it. It's got lands in it. It's got a tutor for Harmonic Prodigy. It has Shredder for draw. And if you make it to turn 4 with a Treasonous Ogre, yes, you need to draw. You've got 4 live draws at gas. And that's, it's so-so.
This is what, our 6?
Yeah, this is 6.
I feel like turn 2 Shredder, this is a pretty good keep.
Yeah, turn 2 Shredder is really good. And then again, you've got Ogre and 4 lands. If you get to Ogre, and you've got Step Through, so you can tutor for something that can find you red action. Then that's pretty good. That's really Treasonous Ogres, they resolve a lot. Because again, Forces of Will are pretty rare.
Yeah, pretty few and far between.
Rare.
People don't play Delay still.
Yep, I don't understand it, but this is where we are.
So, pretty good keep here at 6. What are we bottoming? Please tell me it's one of the lands.
Yeah, I'm not going to disappoint you. I think it is one of the lands. I mean, yeah, I don't think you need 4. Like, you got Shredder.
Is there any upside to bottoming something over the island? Is there any reason why we would want the higher island count to like go against that idea of like saving us from opposing Carpet of Flowers players? Is there any particular like, because we have the volcanic island to turn on our Mog salvage, so is there any are there any other reasons we want to think about our lands that deep, or is it just easy island ship?
If you're expecting any non-basic hate whatsoever,
okay,
Arcanum
Maria, etc.,
Magus, whatever, then I think it could actually be worth considering just keeping Volk Island.
Yeah, sure. If we're up against a Winota deck, I can see keeping the island over like the Shivan Reef or something.
Yeah, because you have an abundance of red here, which means you don't want to get stuck on red. You want really one, at least access to a blue, just one. Ideally two, but if you can't get two, that's okay. You can, probably stick it out on one. But yeah, so I think if you are playing around stacks and want to be safe, clever, keep Volk Island. If you're like, nah, it's not gonna matter, then keep Volk Island and Shivan Reef.
Yeah, sure, because I mean, if we are up against like Winota deck or something like that, we're keeping this based off the strength of a turn 2 Ledger Shredder, like we're going to be devastated by the turn 1 Magus of the Moon for sure. So.
Bingo. Or Rule Law for that fact.
Yeah.
For that, right? So it's like, okay, cool, like, I've got a 1/3 flyer, woohoo. So I don't know. Yeah, but again, it's stable, and prioritize that. It's so funny, last time I went on Greedy Keeps with this deck too, I got hands that were very similar. Like, not any, like, almost none of the hands had any fast mana in it. I'm like, I swear, people, there's fast mana in the deck. Just look. But Moxfield is really serving up some strange looks tonight, and that's okay.
We took a look at one hand that had lots of fast mana, and you called it a trap.
Yeah. Yep. Welcome to my brain. But yeah. Again, it's like, man, card advantage in the zone is a hell of a drug, and it's just unfortunate.
Now, it's a very different looking deck than like anything else on the DDB. Like, it's a very individual kind of deck, and the things that it requires are very particular. So yeah, like, I can understand it not being the sort of just like we're always mulling for mana crypt hands. Like, having stable mana, and like the one thing that I learned from you, like the first thing I learned from you learning how to play this deck was just like playing a turn 1 Krark is good. But it seems like now that's maybe a little bit less important to you.
Yes, because it's more dangerous than ever. So it's like, it's not. It used to be turn 1 Krark, and a turn 1 Krark will outpace opponents' threat perception. But now a turn 1 Krark increases opponents' threat perception because they know what the deck does.
Yeah.
And so it used to be a move that worked in your favor, but now I think that it can be a move that really sets off alarm bells and draws more heat than it's worth. And so I think that slow rolling it can be a little bit smarter, and it allows you, right, to let the other player to really pop off in the first couple turns with all the permanents. They dump all the rocks. They play early. They play like a Ristic Study on turn 1 or whatever. Or they, Ornithopter and whatever, and then Winota turn 2. They draw all the heat.
Sure.
And again, turn 4, 5, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, this deck is best when it goes for it second, not when it goes for it first. It sometimes is the beatdown. But most of the time, you're not going to be the fastest deck at the table because there will be some turbo deck that has access to black. And again, that's good. Go for it second. So let other people distract the pod. Because again, Krark is a known entity now. It's no longer everybody's least favorite little surprise. It's a known threat. And so early Krark can really make people go panic and do remove-y things, and that's not fun.
No, that's really terrible. We don't like that. Well, no. Ken, thank you so much for coming to talk with me about this deck. This is really interesting to sit down with you and like really get into your mind about, like, you and I have very, like, I don't know, we don't have very different perceptions on like mulligans. I think that we just have different motivations, and I think I'm understanding a lot more your motivations now, having sat down and talked with you about this deck. This really it makes a lot more sense to me that the way that you're thinking about this. So this is a very interesting conversation.
Good, thank you. I know that like you are the person who motivates me in my head to mulligan away hands where I'm like, this is not, like, it's just not going to get there. Like, I'm like, you better mulligan for Dan. Dan's going to be upset with you. Like, they're going to be very disapproving. And it is very helpful many times, but I'm glad that I'm just glad that you now understand my general attitude as it's been so heavily shaped by Krark Sakashima. It's like, if I were playing Najila or whatever, like back in the day, you just dig. Like, you just find the hand that's incredible. But on this deck, because of that turn 4 or 5 marker, which, you know, after a couple of years I like know is like a central pillar of the deck. I'm a lot, the play pattern is just a little bit different, and it can look a little counterintuitive, but I'm glad that I helped make some sense of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I thought it was, this is very, very interesting. And like, I would certainly never claim that you were like wrong about your philosophies on mulligans or anything like that.
I am often.
No, I think it's just it's this thing of like, you have very different experiences with this deck than I have playing my primarily Grixis decks that I like to play. So it is a very different experience to sit down and talk about the stability of playing your 3 land drops and hoping to get to turn 4 or 5. And wow, but it's a lot of lands for Rain of Filth, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta hit 5 lands so that I can get 5 draws with Korvold when I curve out on Korvold and play him on turn 5. Yeah, that's not. It's a weird deck. It is a weird deck, but you stepped into the role of the greedy keeps today. We went to what? We went to 5 twice, and I made you go to 4 once. You did make me go to 4. Yeah, absolutely.
No, we had a good one here.
Yeah, going to 5 is it's okay. You know, it's not the end of the world. Don't.
You drop to 6.
Bingo, exactly. Yeah, going to 5 is practically going to 7, so don't worry about it.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's how I feel. Yeah. Well, Ken, thank you very much for hanging out with us. Is there anything that you want to leave us with today? Any like closing things on the deck? Any plugs that you want to give us before we get out of here?
I'll just say that, you know, for folks who are curious about the deck, jump into the Krark Discord. It's called the Thumbless. The link is at the top of the Siskel and Ebert primer on Moxfield, or any of my Krark primers on Moxfields. Right at the top, you'll find the link. And it's a really great community. I really value it. The deck is a product of a community, not the other way around in my eyes now. And people routinely describe the Discord as like one of the friendliest, chillest places for like a Magic Discord. And so that to me is a ringing endorsement. And so yeah, if you're curious or you wanna start flipping some coins, hop on in and we'll try to help you out and show you a fun time.
Nice. If you want to see some gameplay episodes with Krark, check out the title card right above my head. Thanks for hanging out with us here on Greedy Keeps, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Remember, if you enjoyed this video, one of the best ways to support us is by leaving a comment and hitting that like and subscribe button. It's incredibly helpful and always appreciated. If you want to support the channel more directly, join our Patreon to catch episodes early, join our private Discord, and get some other awesome benefits. One final thank you to all of our patrons who make great content like this possible. And thank you for watching. Be good to yourself, everyone. Game plan with the deck and like opening hand philosophy and all sorts of shit like that. You get it. You're a smart guy.
Yeah. Oh, well, maybe. We'll see. Yet to be proven.
Nah, you're one of the smartest guys I know, Ken Baumann.
Well, Jesus Christ.
I know a lot of dumbasses. Well, I think we all know a lot of dumbasses.
That's true.
I mean, that's
I'll
the
take
thing.
it. If it's a low bar to clear, I'll take it. But if it's a high bar to clear, I'm much more hesitant.
Well, I mean, I think the important thing is you hit a certain apex of being really smart, but not being a bummer to hang out with.
Hell yeah, if I can hit that sweet spot, that's a big goal.
So yeah, some smart people are fucking really, they're just real fucking wet blanket.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't imagine anyone ever describing you as a wet blanket.
Oh, good. That's excellent. I like to be a warm, fluffy blanket, freshly released from the dryer.
Yeah, you're the kind of blanket that they give you on the airline, like hot blanket to steam your face with.
Yeah. Oh, good. That's my goal. I want that on my epitaph. Airline blanket man died like he lived.
I'm glad I have that recorded. I don't know what I'll ever use that for, but
just put it right in the beginning, you know, right up top.
I'll use it as a soundbite, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Serious times now. No more laughing. No more jokes.
Nope. I'm not gonna have a single fucking piece of fun from here on out. I'm ready for this to suck.
It's not gonna suck. It's just gonna be like, you know, intellectual wet blanket.
Yeah, true. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get real sad and real dour right now.
Okay.